Hello degenerates and welcome back to another Trickcal video. We have Rollet on the global server. She just arrived a couple hours ago. Yeah, a couple hours ago. We've been testing on stream and off stream a bit more. This is the first impressions video for her, where she is right now, where I feel she will be on the tier list where I initially placed her. Also, we'll talk about her card because I think it's worth talking about it, and if it's obviously worth pulling or what is the best use for your gems at the moment. So let's jump into this. A quick TLDR on where my Rollet is. Level 120, 1.6 million combat power. She got everything rank 9, plus 5 on the weapon, 10, 10, 10 as usual. I usually don't go higher because I need to invest into too many characters for testing. So 10, 10, 10 is what she gets. Alright. Her first board is not great. It's not a good board. It's purely defensive notes. Her second board is crit HP attack. Really, really good second board. We'll talk about her kit on a moment to see what changed from the Korean server. Her A club, however, is not great. It's not a good A club. It's actually pretty bad. We're talking about sparking glass, we're talking about the cloth and the fish. So not great. I wouldn't recommend pulling if that's just your intention. Only for the A club is not good. So for that reason, I wouldn't pull. Her kit, however, is actually pretty good. So a couple of things that have changed from the Korean server to global. Her freshman is the same, okay, so she will throw this dove right there, pop, and it will explode, dealing AoE magic damage. Now, when this bird hits the enemy and it explodes, it procs her passive right here. After using her freshman skill to perform a dove magic trick, immediately reduces the current senior skill cooldown of one random ally other than herself. And this is a 6.5 second reduction if you were to take it to 14, 8.5 seconds if you were to take it to 15. I do not know how much it is because I don't have the A3, but I assume it's gonna be like what, like 9 seconds? 9 seconds in total for the cooldown reduction at level 15, which is really nice. So her kit, just based on the passive, it's already good, right? You can't use her on Leah's Frontier, you can't use her on bosses, on any normal map composition, and she will work just because the utility. And then her senior, which is the same as the Korean server, same thing. She pops up this box, which will taunt enemies with this curiosity, and then will just explode, deal AoE damage, and stun the enemies. Is a pretty decent kit, and her damage output is actually pretty good. I'll show some damage comparison numbers on a moment. I think the biggest thing to consider in here, it's simply just that cooldown reduction. It's really good. There will be a couple of characters in the future that will provide cooldown reduction, and most of them are also meta. Now, that said, it's kind of worth pulling for her, and but not for her journey. Her damage output, even outside of that. If I go into Trickcal math right here, there we go. We go into here on our Japan conversations. If I go into her damage without her journey, right? So right here, physical weak Elias Frontier to take into consideration. 1.8 versus 3.9 on the Momo versus 5.4 on Elena. No items, Epica 2.3. Even Renewa is doing one building there, right? And then these were the items that I was checking. Now, her own item is not good for bosses, and I did switch items later. I wasn't checking for the SP. We'll talk about her item later, all right? But 1.8, which is not awful. And then I did switch setups. I switched for a magic cake because she's a magic DPS, and any magic DPS heavily benefits from the cake, right? And this was a normal dimensional clash, where I was like, okay, let's compare her with the Seized Journey. Let's put some items on Mayo, why not? Just for, for to having an extra DPS. And let's compare her with the Seized Journey. There is a lot of RNG because you are always switching who is getting the buff. Seized will be buffing two random allies. So who is she buffing? Herself? Is it Mayo? Is it Rollet? Is she gonna be buffing Belita in this situation, or even Renewa, right? So depending who you're buffing, her damage takes quite a bit, but she can actually compete with Seized if you get lucky. So Seized 720, 550 right there. Then here, almost 700 on Rollet, 400 here. So a lot of RNG on this team because not only Seized has quite RNG, because we're also going to be running the other RNG character. It's on the front line, which is quite far away from our girl as well. So this team has a bit of RNG on who's getting the boosts. But as you can see, if you get lucky, she can actually compete with the DPSs in here. So she is a good DPS for the mad team. Just some RNG, but still no problem. If you don't have the Journey for Seized, Rollet will become your main DPS for a little bit until you get other characters on this team composition specifically, right? Also, her newer skin, it's really good, by the way. This skin is new. It was not even on the Korean server. So I'm happy we got the new skin because it's actually big. So that is pretty good damage. Now, that is without her journey. That is without her journey. With the journey, it does not improve to a point where you really care that much. We went from 1.3 to 1.4 right here. Sorry, this is the dimensional clash. So she was doing 400 here, 700 here. We did a few runs for RNG once again, right? And the same thing, 640, 400. And then on a run, she got the buffs. She was doing 800 versus 561. If she gets the buff, she's your main DPS. If she's the buff herself, then she becomes your main DPS. So the best damage dealers currently for the map team are going to be both Sist and Rollet. She's a great character. If you're a main map, I would suggest grabbing a copy 100%. If you're not the main map, there are less reasons to run her, and we'll talk about it in a moment. And then same setup on Elias Frontier. I just swapped her item for a cake and did 1.5, which was basically the same damage. And then I tried with the J Codex and same thing. I don't think it's a bad character. I think it's a problem that on Elias Frontier, for the backline currently, you have the best DPS in the game, you have the SP battery most people are running, and you have between the clones and her own damage, regardless of the boss debuffs, Momo as well. Like, it's really hard to slot anyone on the backline on Elias Frontier, but depends on your account, obviously, right? Some people might not have Shion, or Momo, or Kiaro Journey. So, she is a good character. I would recommend, if you can afford grabbing a copy, you know, if you're not going background, because we went from Renewa to Double Banner to now another good unit. So, if you can afford, I would recommend grabbing a copy. You do not need dupes. Whenever you get the Journey, it's good. And it's nice, but you don't need the journey. The journey itself, alright, increases skill damage, and at the start of the wave, recovers her own SP. Triggers one of the following effects on enemies hit by freshman skill. You might mutate some enemies, you might halt SP recovery per second, or you might reduce attack. This is really good for PvP. Fantastic for PvP. On PvE, it's not bad, but the skill damage increase is not enough where you care to be bringing or, you know, to pull for this right now. Whenever you get it in the future, it's a good journey. Is a nice increase in damage, but not mandatory by enemies. Alright, even without her journey, she can compete with C's journey in terms of damage, depending on the RNG. For now, I'm gonna be putting her at the T2 on the tier list right here, because she has some, you know, conditions to be properly used. I think the biggest, not the problem per se, because it's not the problem. The biggest thing to remember with Rollet is that her cooldown reduction works only on characters that are on a cooldown. So let's say you have, let's actually showcase this so it's a little bit easier to understand. If you have, you know, a full team right here, and only one character has the ultimate in cooldown reduction, that character will be the one getting it. So it will be distributed amongst the units that are on a cooldown. Let me kill the boss really quickly so we can show it. And let me lower the volume because it's gonna be too loud. This game on the fight, somehow it's way too loud. So let's kill the boss really quickly so I can showcase this and you guys can see it better for her passive on Rollet. The only thing to remember is just literally that for manual play, she's not bad, but she will excel when we are talking specifically about manual players, for people who like tryharding a lot more. So right now, the characters who are gonna be getting her cooldown reduction are only Epica and Bibi. Only these two. Then Epica got it there. Now is Bibi the one that's going to be getting it because she's 3 seconds. If I put Epica, the only character who will be benefiting from the cooldown reduction right now, from 28, she goes to 20. It's Epica because there is no other character. So that cooldown reduction will be only activating on those units. That's the only thing to remember, that you have to actually, you know, not be careful because on auto it works either way. But in case you do want a manual for higher damage, that is something to consider, okay? That's it. Now, that's said about Rollet. Let's talk about her item. Her item is actually also pretty decent. So her item is going to be the equivalent of the cake for campaign. This is an item that if there are 3 or more enemies, the beater skill damage is increased by, at level 1, let me see how much is at level 1 so we can show that instead. At level 1, it's a 44% skill damage increase if there are 3 or more enemies. Remember that the cake is the same thing, magic damage, right, by 40% when no enemy is defeated, so only for bosses. This is basically the opposite. It's only for campaign and stages where there are a lot of enemies. Either your Dreamland, just pushing adventure, that's about it. It's not good for bosses, but for casual players, this has a higher value. A lot of characters scale with the skill damage, benefit from attack and crit rate, obviously, and you can't use them just because of this, right? So it's a great item. I'm putting it, I believe it's on a T1 currently. Yes, here, T1. Whatever the cake is, this item has to be as well. We'll see if we end up moving both of them or not, but whatever the cake is, Rollett item has to be as well. It's just that instead of for bossing, it's for campaign. And then when it comes to Rollett, passive herself is not worth bringing. It's not bad. So on her freshman skill, it's gonna be 3 birds instead, right? Gonna be dealing AoE damage 3 times, and you will be recovering your own SP. I did try running this on Elias Frontier on her, which you are losing this passive basically and only getting attack and crit, and it does work. It's similar damage, but you are losing, you know, a spot you could be putting instead a proper DPS card if she is your DPS. If she's not your DPS for Elias Frontier, you can put that card on her because it will benefit her for the SP recovery. But if you don't care about that, then you can just put a normal DPS item. That will always be better. So once again, I would recommend grabbing a copy if you guys can afford it, only for the most part for map main people. If you're not a map main, it's a nice character, but it's not something you need by any means, right? If you're not a main map, you probably can benefit more from her card rather than going for the apostle itself. As usual, don't go too crazy, boys. It's not, you know, not needed. You can get every character as long as you keep playing and doing your dailies. That's it. That's everything for this one. Any questions you guys might have, feel free to recommend down below and ask them. We are live almost every single day. Links in the description also for the website and everything updated in there. I'll make a video later tomorrow talking about the new character on the Korean server, which is an Ashur alt. Look at this. Really cute Ashur. But for now, I am out. Good luck with your pool, dinner dates, and I'll see you on the next one.